Good afternoon. First of all, I'm grateful for this opportunity to present remotely my research titled A New Framework for Understanding Cultural Cycles, the Phoenix Clock Model. Although this conference is about the metamorphoses of time, I'll begin by telling you that I won't be using the word time itself, not once. Because to me, the real metamorphosis doesn't happen in time itself, but to the meaning we assign to it. Depending on our profession, culture, or even the month we were born, it can mean many different things: a duration, a parameter, an illusion, or even fate. So, what did it mean for T.S. Eliot, who once wrote, "I have measured out my life with coffee spoons"? Rather than discussing time in the abstract, I want to introduce a practical tool, the Phoenix Clock Model, or PCM, a framework designed for building cultural calendars. In the next 20 minutes, I'll briefly introduce the core concepts behind PCM, the meaning of the Phoenix hour, its key figures, and their guiding metaphors. In the end, by this talk, we'll consider how PCM might help us navigate the past, present, and future with greater awareness and intention. The uneven distribution of great minds throughout history and the cyclical nature of their births has been noted by many thinkers, from Goethe to Schiller and Joseph Priestley and Lev Gumilov, as Goethe once observed in his Poetry and Truth. Any person born 10 years earlier or later would have been quite a different being, both as regards his own culture and his influence on others. To understand ourselves in this shifting historical landscape, we need a map. Calendars serve this role, but to build one that spans millennia, we need very special clocks. And as a physicist, Alexander Friedman stated, the concept of a clock is valid only if it can, at least in theory, be built from real physical objects. To map long-term historical processes, we need a clock that operates without human intervention or maintenance. From Plato to Schrödinger, thinkers have looked to celestial bodies as candidates for a universal clock, thanks to their predictable and observable movements over millennia. This brings us to the Phoenix Clock model. It uses the ecliptic, the apparent path of the sun, as its clock face. The 12 zodiacal constellations serve as markers, dividing it into 12 30-degree sectors. PCM is built around several key concepts or definitions. Planets, a collective term for 10 major celestial bodies, including the Sun and the Moon and Pluto. The Phoenix hour, a rare period when Pluto and Neptune align within 10 degrees or conjunction. The Phoenix year, a 493-year cycle between two consecutive Phoenix hours. Phoenix-born individuals, those people who were born during each Phoenix hour. Since the beginning of recorded history, there have been 12 Phoenix hours. Each marked a period of major astronomical and cultural shifts, and indicated at least 3 types of gaps. First, spatial gap. With each Phoenix hour, the alignment zone jumps 5 to 6 degrees, creating a stepwise shift through the zodiac. It takes approximately 29,600 years for this point to complete a full circle around the ecliptic. Social gap. Phoenix hours coincide with collapses of old systems and the rise of new powers. And developmental gaps. Phoenix-born generations usually bring new paradigms and shape the new era. Additionally, there is an elemental gap. Roughly every 2,500 years, Phoenix hours shift into a new zodiac sign, marking a change in the dominant cultural element, fire, earth, air, or water. This shift has occurred 3 times in recorded history. About 3600 BCE, Aries began in fire element, the rise of writing, historical awareness, and myth of divine messengers. And later, 1071 BCE, the shift came to Taurus, earth element, a turn toward the material and human world. And 1398 CE was the beginning of the Gemini series in air element. The Renaissance and the rise of rational thought was recorded. The next shift is projected around 3398 CE into Cancer, water element. It may signal the rise of a more feeling-based, heart-centered humanity. The PCM also maps shorter intervals within each Phoenix year. By tracking the key angular relationships between Neptune and Pluto, we can divide each Phoenix year into 8 phases, analogous to lunar phases and Erickson's stages of human development. A key figures of this Phoenix year is the approximate 3:2 orbital resonance between Neptune and Pluto. This means that for every 3 Neptune periods, there are 2 Pluto periods. This resonance causes their 180 degrees opposition to occur at the midpoint of the Phoenix year, symmetrically dividing it into 2 equal halves, each named after its central representative figure. First comes the Pythagorean era, characterized by innovation, experimentation, and the seeding of new ideas. It is followed by the Epicurean era, marked by the consolidation of these innovations and their rooting in society. The further division of the Phoenix year into 4 waxing phases during the Pythagorean era and 4 waning phases during the Epicurean era. It reflects the birth, growth, and decline and fading of the core paradigms seeded at the start of each Phoenix year. Unlike the general division into 2 equal halves, the division into 8 phases within the Phoenix year results in uneven lengths. Here we see it, for example, for the previous Phoenix year, spanning from the approximately 1390 to approximately 1890. And we see this imbalance between lengths of different phases. This variation is caused by Pluto's elliptical orbit, which leads to changes in the length of each Phoenix phase, with the pattern shifting each Phoenix year. So each Phoenix year is unique. Culturally, distinct Phoenix phases reflect radically different landscape, much like seasons shape life in different ways. Though their astronomical lengths vary, their cultural meaning and sequence remains fixed. Unlike arbitrary calibrated calendars, the Phoenix calendar follows a more natural and dynamic rhythm. While each Phoenix year is roughly the same length, its phases vary, mirroring the shifting flow of life itself. This dynamic quality makes the Phoenix calendar more than an astronomical model. It becomes a tool for tracing large-scale historical patterns, recognizing key cultural transitions, and seeing ourselves not just as individuals, but as part of a larger historical waves. And now let's take a closer look at individuals born during these rare Neptune-Pluto conjunctions or Phoenix hour. 6th century BCE, the first axial age by Jaspers. A parallel emerges of transformative thinkers, including Pythagoras in Greece and Confucius in China. 1st century BCE, the fall of the Roman Republic, a golden age of Latin poetry marked by the birth of Virgil and Horace. Late 14th century, dawn of the Renaissance and age of discovery, the births of Gutenberg, Nicolaus Cusanus, and Ulugh signal a shift towards sciences, exploration, and humanism. And the latest Phoenix hour, 1885 to 1900. Collapse of empires, burst of modernity, a wave of innovation across physics, psychology, technology. Notable births included Norbert Wiener, the father of cybernetics, and Niels Bohr, who introduced the principle of complementarity. In his 1992 poem, Nobel laureate Joseph Brodsky observed that cultural turning points are often marked by bursts of influential poets. In his view from the hill, he wrote, "Something happened 100 years ago and a milestone appeared." Remarkably, Brodsky intuitively drew a parallel between Rome's Golden Age poets and Russia's Silver Age poets, Akhmatova, Tsvetaeva, Mandelstam, Pasternak. These two groups born nearly 2,000 years apart, each during a Phoenix hour. These poets shared more than brilliance. They actually heralded cultural transformation in tune with the cosmic wave of historical change. And Virgil wrote, "The great cycle of periods is born anew." And Pasternak, as if echoed him, "We used to be people, we are epochs." And the influence of the Phoenix hour resonates in the realm of music as well. 6th century BCE, Pythagoras, his ideas linking music to cosmic order laid the foundation of Western music theory. And late in 14th century, John Dunstable, he was hailed as a new Pythagoras. He led a musical revolution at the dawn of the Renaissance, alongside with Gilles Benchois and Guillaume Dufay, marking the birth of polyphony. And 1885 to 1900, celestial twins, Irving Berlin and Max Steiner, both just 48 hours apart, pioneered the modern film score. Following them, Sergei Prokofiev blended cinema with the grandeur of opera and symphony, signaling a rebirth of music on the screen. And exploration. Phoenix-born visionaries, Henry the Navigator and Ulugh, born just 18 days apart, became beacons of a new era. One mastered the seas, the other charted the stars, both expanding the known boundaries of human potential. And in physics, a major paradigm shift that continues to influence physics today was led by three Phoenix-born Nobel Prize-winning physicists, Louis de Broglie, Erwin Schrödinger, and Niels Bohr. Phoenix-born psychologists such as Jean Piaget, Anne Freud, and Gustav Hans Graeber recognized the critical importance of early development stages, including the emerging field of prenatal psychology. And not just quality, the quantity too was important. A Phoenix hour is also marked by a surge in prominent figures across creative fields. A striking example here is the fact that the number of influential Russian poets born during the latest Phoenix hour, 1885 to 1900, was doubled that of the previous and subsequent periods of comparable lengths. Cross-culturally, this surge coincided with the notable rise in the Nobel-winning poets. 12 Phoenix-born poets would later receive the Nobel Prize. In contrast, the comparable period just before, 1865 to 1881, produced 0. no future Nobel-winning poets. And those Nobel-winning poets wrote in 8 different languages, but nevertheless, they shared striking traits. St. John Pierce wrote, "The poet himself come out of his millennium rooms." For Nelly Sachs, life was like a knife between life and death. And Marina Tsvetaeva, born as a celestial twin of Nobel laureate Ivo Andrich, she declared, "I am the phoenix, I only in the fire sing." Akhmatova, while lamenting people of our generation are not threatened by said returns, we have nowhere to return to. But she also paradoxically declared, "I am happy that I lived during those years and witnessed events unlike any others." She compared her poetic muse to the phoenix rising from the ashes. "They'll forget?" That was astonished. "They've forgotten me 100 times. 100 times I've laid in the grave where perhaps I'm even now." But the muse was deafened and blinded. In the earth she rotted as a seed, so that after, like a phoenix from the ashes, she might rise in the blue ether. Translated by Francis Laird. The name Phoenix Clock Model reflects 3 intertwined influences. It draws on the ancient Roman belief cited by Dowling that time is born like a phoenix in a great cyclical cataclysm. It echoes the phoenix as a universal symbol of immortality, reborn from fire every 500 years. It honors phoenix-born poets who embraced this image of transformation. By linking a cosmic clock, i.e. the stellar-centered calendar, with the births of cultural innovator, a human-centered calendar, the PCM reveals a deep connection between human creativity and larger cosmic cycles. Today's presentation covers just one dimension of a 30-year interdisciplinary study, which has produced 6 detailed books and numerous publications. The 3 logos on the title slide represent its broader scope, 3 interconnected lines of inquiry: the Phoenix Clock model itself, studies of synchronicity and symmetry, celestial twins and effect of celestial twins, ECT, and the 4-element framework underlying PCM, as it was written in Cartography of Emotions. PCM does not replace conventional history. It adds depth. As a physicist, I search for universal laws. As a human being, I seek harmony. As a mother, I explore the roots of life through prenatal psychology. For the past 12 years, I've worked to make PCM insights practical through courses and public talks. Ultimately, PCM is a method for understanding our innate potential. This work aligns with Alfred Korzybski's vision of time binding, the uniquely human ability to learn from the past and evolve beyond it. It also echoes David Bohm's profound insight. I suggest that this is the essence of freedom, to realize one's true potential, whatever the source of that potential may be. PCM offers a framework for realizing that very essence of freedom. Let me close with the voice of 2 Phoenix-born figures. "In my end is my beginning," T.S. Eliot. Their end embedded in their beginning, and their beginning and their end like a flame bound to a burning ember. Abraham, the Book of Creation, Sefer Yetzirah. For me, this is the end of lecture, but I hope that at least for some of you, it may become a beginning, a new way to see, connect, and explore. And now, thank you for your time.